Hey, this is CG1 and thank you for joining me once again. I want to talk to you about overcoming sadness. Now you might be thinking, oh yeah, Joe, thank God at last you're sharing on this, because this is a challenge of mine, and so give me some practical tips to really start practicing. Or you might be like, nah Joe, I'm Mr. Happy or Miss Joy. I don't really get sad like that. This ain't something that grab hold of me. But what I want to share with you is, no matter what side you're on, this is something that, if you're like any human, because as human beings we all have emotions, positive and negative, happy and sad, but we don't always deal with our negative emotions well, and that's why I want to share with you on practical tips to overcome sadness. Because the challenge is that in our society, it seems like it's more acceptable for a female to say that, yeah, I'm feeling quite sad. But for guys, it don't seem as culturally acceptable. So what I see in our society is that the majority of men, or most guys, will tend to filter out sadness in anger and aggression, because then you see that, oh yeah, that's something that makes sense. But if a guy was to say that, oh yeah, I'm feeling quite sad, it doesn't seem to be as culturally acceptable. But the problem is, it's very detrimental to not be aware and sensitive to how you're feeling, because you're so habitually focusing your sadness on aggression and you're filtering it out wrong. So I want to share with you tips, whether you're male or female, on how to deal with sadness. The first thing I want to say is, it's okay to cry. Now, if you're sad because of a bereavement, you don't need to try and hold it in and say that, oh yeah, real guys don't cry, and yet you're suffering inside. You just have to let it out, because this is something that's important. You've lost a loved one, or you've lost someone that you cared about. It's okay to cry about it, and it doesn't matter on your gender or who you are, because just holding it in can be very detrimental to you. Another thing you can do is to take time out and just really reflect on it. But I must warn you, don't isolate yourself so badly. And on the flip side as well, you have to get that balance between being isolated and having that social aspect about it. Because you can share with someone that you can trust, not going up to everybody and saying, oh yeah, I feel very sad and this, that and that. No, to someone you can confide in and can share about what you're feeling. See, so that's important in dealing with sadness. It's quite interesting, because for me, I don't really get sad that often, but there are few cases that makes me sad. And one of the most significant ones is because I'm a huge Arsenal fan. Like, whenever we lose, like, I just get really down. Like, you're like, oh yeah, Joe, get over it. But no, I don't know what it is, but I just really get down. And it's quite sad, actually. It's quite sad. But now, one of the things I do is that as soon as I watch the game, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just need to jump in the shower and just be by myself and just let the water just go by and just get over it. Because after I take a shower, I start to feel a bit better. Not alright, but a bit better. And it's quite interesting, because if you follow football, or you know anything about sports, and you know that Arsenal have lost 4 games in a row, and this has not happened for over 20 years, because we're quite successful, but it's not happened, and we're not doing too well. So you can imagine that when spending a fair time in the shower, and you know that feeling sad, like, don't try to get over it, but feeling sad is not something that you just have to hope that it just goes away, but you have to deal with it. Or you can be aggressive and you don't know why that aggression is coming. So these are just things that you can practice. In terms of crying, I mean, not like crying all the time, but like bereavement kind of warrants you to shed a tear or two, or a whole lot more. But it's about knowing that you don't want sadness to become a habit, because for some people they're always sad, and that's because they haven't learned the practical tips to overcome sadness that I've just shared with you. You have so much potential, and letting emotions run your life can stop you from so much of your success. This is CG1, and you have the seed of greatness.